When looking for the perfect gaming case, you need to take airflow into consideration. That's where the Silverstone RL08 Redline series micro ATX case comes into play. Stick around to see why this case might just have the best airflow for your next gaming PC. It's TechWizTime. Hey guys, Jonathan here with TechWizTime, where I help you save time and money with all things gaming and tech. This video is all about the Silverstone RL08 micro ATX case and how it might just be the best gaming PC case when it comes to airflow. Full disclosure, Silverstone did send out the RL08 case for review. No money has exchanged hands and thoughts and opinions are my own. The first thing you might notice with the Silverstone RL08 micro ATX case is that the motherboard is mounted upside down. Sort of like the Netflix series set in the 80s with these kids? You might know it. Now there is a method to this madness. By mounting the motherboard upside down, one of the hottest PC components is now at the top of the case. And that's the graphics card. Supporting graphics cards up to 370mm long, most GPUs will fit in a single configuration. Leveraging positive airflow pressure, the two front fans will suck more cool air into the case than the single rear fan can exhaust. So essentially, the cool air coming from the front of the case forces all the hot air out of the rear, leaving less hot air inside the case. This means the graphics card's onboard fans will get cool air first rather than the hot. So long story short, this means lower GPU temperatures. How awesome is that? A magnetic dust filter is located on top of the case. There's also a filter behind the front of the case and one underneath. This will stop larger dust particles from entering the case, but in the end, dust finds a way. It always finds a way. Speaking of cooling, included with the Silverstone RL08 are two front-mounted 120mm RGB fans and a single 120mm standard rear fan. If you want to use an AIO or an all-in-one water cooler, the front of the case can support either a 240mm or 280mm radiator. And if you're only installing one GPU, then you could potentially use the top as well. If an air-based CPU cooler is more your style, the RL08 will support air coolers up to 168mm in height. Just make sure you check the height of your air cooler before purchasing this case. Links are in the description below. Back to the graphics cards for a moment. To help support the weight of the GPU, especially for the longer ones, Silverstone have included a movable graphics card support. This will help take some of the weight off the PCI Express slot and also prevent any graphics card sagging. This pretty much means there is less chance of you damaging your motherboard or graphics card with this awesome addition. The Silverstone RL08 case will support motherboards from mini ITX to micro ATX. Full-size ATX motherboards need not apply. Motherboard standoffs come pre-installed in the case, which is handy. If you do need to move them, there is an included standoff socket wrench piece to make the removal simple with a Phillips head screwdriver. Cable management has been managed well. Did you see what I did there? With rubber grommets for cables to pass through, there's no chance of any rubbing against bare metal, especially when it comes to the 24-pin power connector. There are cable tie points located on the rear side of the motherboard tray, right near the rubber grommets. Power supplies between 160mm and 220mm are supported and are hidden behind the steel shroud at the bottom of the case. This makes the interior more appealing with the tempered glass side panel showing off all those components. Also behind the steel shroud is 3 bays for either 3.5-inch or 2.5-inch hard drives. The hard drive cage area is also adjustable, allowing different positions for longer power supplies. Another interesting feature with the included hard drive trays is the way they can be expanded. This allows for easy insertion of a 3.5-inch hard drive. Line up the locking pins and push it closed to lock them into place. How awesome is that? On top of that, you can also mount 2 extra 2.5-inch hard drives behind the motherboard tray. And if your motherboard has a rear M.2 slot, then the cutout in the motherboard tray could possibly be enough to access your M.2 drive without removing the whole motherboard. Do you want to know how to access your files on an M.2 drive if your motherboard drives? Then subscribe to the TechWizTime channel and find out in about a week from release of this video. If it's been that long already, there will be a card above and a link down in the description below. There is a non-removable 5.25-inch bay for optical drive if that's something you need. This can pose a bit of a challenge if you want to install SLI graphics cards, but for the vast majority this shouldn't be an issue, especially considering SLI is going the way of the dinosaur. That's the internal features of the RL08 case out of the way. Now let's look at the all-important external aesthetics. When it comes to the colours, the Silverstone RL08 Redline series micro ATX case is available in this awesome red, or for those not as adventurous, it also comes in white. The I/O runs down the red strip on the front of the case. First up is the power button, next is the USB 3 port, followed by an audio out port and a microphone in port, and lastly a second USB 3 port. The black mesh on the front is steel, not plastic, which is a welcome addition. If you remove the whole steel front panel, then you can access the removable dust filter. And whilst you're there, you can also install any optical drives in the 5¼ inch bay. Surprisingly though, even with the 5¼ inch slot and the Silverstone badge down the bottom, the whole front looks extremely clean. The tempered glass side panel and red side panel are both removable via thumb screws. The interesting part about the glass side panel is the fact that it's been melded with steel, making it slide on and off the case just like a regular side panel. Another great feature with the tempered glass side panel is the thin strip of rubber on both the top and the bottom. This helps you avoid any scratching on the glass when removing or replacing the side panel. How awesome is that? So overall, I give the Silverstone RL08 Micro ATX case the Beardicus Award of 4.5 out of 5 awesomes. If you know of a Micro ATX case with awesome airflow, then make sure you leave a comment down below. If you enjoyed this review and want to see more awesome gaming and tech reviews in the future, then make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon too. If you want to save money when it comes to gaming and tech, then make sure you follow TechWizTime on Twitter and Facebook. You can also subscribe to our website for instant notifications. You can also help support the channel via Patreon. If you want to help but can't financially, then you could translate this video via the link in the description below and get a video credit for free. Thanks again for your time and all your support, and as always, imagine, learn, create.